I love what you just said, and for the listeners who are just jumping in mid conversation with us, um, like we're talking about like styles and brand voice and documentary style, which has been super huge the last 10, 15 years or so,
Yeah.
and really probably like the last five, where people are really going into unposed. I mean, there's like a whole unposed, unscripted, like
Hmm.
posing guide and all that. And I love what you just said, Christine, about like it's not so much like your style is not so much documentary, because documentary is like the definition of documentary style is like you're literally there
Yeah.
just documenting what's going on. You're not like moving anything. I know that there's, I forget his name, but he's like by the book documentary wedding photographer, where he's not moving water bottles out of the way in the background. There's no direction on the wedding day. It's just you do your thing. I will be here and photograph it, which is cool for couples and people who are comfortable with directing themselves and have that
Yeah.
like peace of mind, like you said earlier, of just like you get a whole gallery of resting bitch face. It's like,
Yeah.
yeah, because so many people are just like, like whenever you're thinking constantly, whenever mother of the bride's like buttoning up the back of the dress, and they're just like furrowed
Yeah. Yeah.
brow, concentrating because there's all these eyelets, and
Yeah.
just have to be like a quick little remember to smile. Like I know you're focusing
Yeah.
right now, but like for the photos, this is going to look better if you're like joyfully doing this. And documentary style is very much not that.
Just
Like you're
letting
you're
them
not
make
talking.
that like scowl and,
Yeah.
you know, only delivering that face. Where if you're doing more cinematic, you instruct them a little bit and then you just wait and you say, "Oh, I'm just going to fix this." And then they start talking amongst yourselves. And that's like the beautiful sweet spot photo. That's
Oh
the one
yeah.
you really want.
Yeah.
That's like the art and the magic between them.
Yeah. It's all those like in between moments, and the uh like even doing like misdirection of I'm gonna do this thing real quick, or like let's walk over to this location, but then you're still shooting as you're
Yeah.
walking and they're just talking. And it's very relaxed because maybe like the groom's holding the train of the dress or something, and like it's them acting naturally how they would actually act, because it is very natural because they don't know that you're taking photos.
Yeah,
So
it's
yeah.
you're really capturing who they are as a couple and they really want that. That's usually the stuff that gets put into albums and framed. It's
Yeah.
really them being them and they're not looking at a photo and saying you can feel the direction in it. It's like
Right.
we're not even there.
Yeah.
I love
Yeah,
that.
that is one thing that I tell my couples is like my style is less of the I'm going to direct you and tell you what to do the whole way, because I don't want them looking at the photos 10 years from now and being like, "Oh, yeah, like this is a pretty photo." And I remember how awkward this felt when John was like, "Turn this way," and like hold each other's faces, and kiss with your teeth, and like
Yes.
all those prompts that are very popular right now. And instead, I want them to see the photos and just be like, "Oh, that's us.
Hmm.
That's us." Like he captured us. Like this is our personality. This is our relationship. Even if it is, I've had couples like, we're walking and like one of them says something just kind of like passive aggressive, and the other one like sticks their tongue out at them. And like,
Yeah,
yeah, that's the photo right there. That is
it
them.
is.
That's very much the
You want them
more,
to be playful if they're playful because you
yeah,
don't want to just turn them into
yeah.
something that they're not.
Yes, 100%. And I think Pinterest has really hurt the wedding industry, helped the wedding industry in like how we can get out there and be seen by couples, but
Hmm.
also hurt it in the way of the inspiration that people are bringing in, because they're bringing in, excuse me, they're bringing in like these swoon worthy photos and these like very elegant type photos, and then they're like, this is what I want, but then that's not their personality,
Yeah.
and that's not how they act together, and
Yeah.
they're getting married with like hay bales in the back, and it's like this is not like the elegant feel that this photo that you had, like this couple is in Versailles. This is going to be a very different vibe at your ranch wedding. And
Exactly.
yeah.
And I think that as someone who has undiagnosed ADHD, I get overwhelmed if there's too many choices. So when I was getting married and scrolling through Pinterest, we won't discuss how long ago that was. Um, I
Pinterest
got
was around though,
overwhelmed.
so it wasn't
Yeah,
too long ago.
yeah. I'm not that old. Um, but I would get overwhelmed with the photos and the inspiration, and I would be inspired by like five different moods. And I know I'm not alone with that.
Yeah.
And so I wouldn't know what I wanted to do with my wedding because I wanted at least three different themes minimum.
Mhm. Oh yeah. I mean,
And
as a photographer, like starting off, I was getting so much inspiration from other photographers, and I was like, "Oh man, I love the way that this looks."
yeah.
And then a completely different style in like editing and shooting and like different focal lengths and everything. I'm just like, "Oh, I love the way
Mm-hmm.
that this looks."
Mm-hmm.
And like they all spoke to me in different
Mm-hmm.
ways, and I definitely would like chase after one for a while and then start to incorporate things of the other. Like
Mm-hmm.
I talk
Mm-hmm.
about them pretty often because they're a big influence in my like kind of whenever I in like 2019, 2020, whenever I really hit like a plateau of, or was at the end of my plateau of photography where I had just not been creative and just it kind of everything felt stale and I didn't really know where to go. I met Erica and Lanny Mann of Two Man Studios, and just like they have been a big inspiration and like coaching, and I've taken their courses and stuff over the years. But like I talk about them a lot, so listeners, I'm just going to talk about them again. Uh, but like I whenever I first met them, I loved their style, very saturated, lots of like blues and oranges playing against each other, and looked really cool. A lot of more, they call it artisanal edits, of just like where you're going and doing a lot of dodging and burning and
Mm-hmm.
saturations and changing colors and stuff. And I was just like, that's cool. And then I pivoted hard into just doing that. And and then I was like, oh, this isn't my style though. Like I love it. There are definitely some aspects of that that I take from there. A lot of their, like they talk about getting close. I love to get close. Like on the dance
Mm-hmm.
floor, I am up there just like with my camera in the middle of the dances. And I've taken some things from them, but like the editing, not as much. And I think that is something that a lot of us kind of do, is like we see something new or something different that speaks to us, and it could speak in like a certain way of
Yep.
like with the wider 16 millimeter lenses, and like, oh, I like this look, this is cool.
Mm-hmm.
Or it could be the editing style or something, but we just like see the whole thing, like I'm going to replicate the whole thing
Yeah.
instead of taking time to kind of dissect it and like, what do I actually like about this, and how could I incorporate this into my current style. um,
It's
so
hard. And
yeah.
like I don't think that I even realized my editing style until I was in my third year. And then I started to hone in on that. And now I just did in 2023 an AMV retreat, and I got to meet a few editorial photographers. And I realized I knew I wasn't fine art. I knew that for sure, but I
Hmm.
didn't know what. Like I really hadn't like honed in on exactly what kind of style I was. And I figured out like I'm like no, I'm definitely editorial, and I'm definitely, because of my love of like movies, I'm very cinematic with a dash of documentarian
Yeah.
mixed in there. I'll still guide you, but I really like the little in between
Hmm.
moments and
Yeah.
making everything crisp and in focus. Like that's my jam.
Yeah. Yeah. I love your like detail shots too, of
Mm-hmm.
like not the faces, but like the photos of like this is a little detail of this moment without being like, this is their face and this is how they were, like their emotions, like you can read into the emotions of, like this is just like elbow down the hand and like the dress and that kind of stuff. Like I love that, and that's what I'm here for. And I get so much inspiration from cinematography and different movies and TV shows, where sometimes I'll just be watching something, I'm like, I'm gonna pause this because look at this frame. This
Yeah.
is so well framed,
Oh,
and the composition and the lighting, like,
God,
and then
yes.
like in my photographer brain's just like, where did they put the lights, where's the key light
Oh,
here, and
yeah.
like how did they set
Oh,
this
you're
up,
like,
how much of
it's
this
a
is
masterpiece.
CGI. Yeah.
I think sometimes some of my friends and family are like, can we just watch a movie? And I'm like, but you're not. Come on. It's just
Yeah.
so visually like, oh my gosh. Like,
What
even
is
Bridgerton is like so well
Yeah.
put together and very thoughtful about how they do it.
Hmm.
You're just like,
Yeah. Yeah, I was not into Bridgerton when it first came out, because someone had told me that it's like The Bachelor, but like in the 1700s, and or I guess it's like early 1800s. Now that I've watched it, know the time period. It's like 1814. That's cool. But like that kept me away from it, and it wasn't until my wife was like, "Oh no, like this is," and like showing me clips from like the first season. I'm like, "Oh yeah, that sounds more like something I would be interested in." And yeah, watching
mm-hmm.
that, I was like, the cinematography is really great. The way that,
Really
I mean,
good.
just the architecture of
Oh
those
yeah.
homes. I'm
Yeah.
like, I just want to live in one room, one of these rooms,
Just one of them.
just one of them with the 30-foot tall ceilings and
Yep.
like all the artwork going up
Uh,
and all the archways and the crown molding and
and like the
wainscoting and just like,
flowers over the door frame.
yeah,
Mm.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. It's
yeah.
so good.
It looks great. And yeah. we we like, before the third season came out, we did a binge where I
Mm.
watched the first two for the first time, and my wife rewatched it with me, and just like, so who do you think is this person, and like all these things. I'm like, oh, I think it's so and so, and then she's like, interesting, okay, and like the next episode that gets debunked, and I'm like, oh, okay.
Urgh. How dare
like
you?
like they were definitely leading me in that direction. I see what they did.
Yep.
But yeah, no, I love that this is like not even part of our topic, and we just kind of got into this, but like we were chatting about like just the whole brand and cinematography and
Mm-hmm.
documentary. I was like, we need to record this.
Mm-hmm.
This is too
Mm-hmm.
good. So but now that we're like, 10-15 minutes into this, Christine, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Pleasure
Thank
to be
you.
here.
Yes, yeah, I love it whenever it's just like I just connect with the guests, and I'm like, we're just diving into this, which helps that we've like met in person before,
Yeah.
which I think we've only met once in person.
I
Is that
I think
correct?
it's twice, but I'm not 100% sure if I'm being
Okay,
honest.
I
I
know for
definitely remember the
sure.
hybrid one. We probably just talked so much
Yeah,
on Instagram that maybe I thought we'd met before.
yeah, we may have met at like a wedding expo or something
Maybe.
over the
Yeah.
last couple of years. But yeah, I know that for sure at hybrid this past, or I guess this year, 2024,
Hmm.
uh, we got to like sit and chat, and like it
You
was
took
it
my
was a good
photo.
time. I did take your photo on a 90-year-old camera.
I think it's
uh,
a great photo.
yeah, I like it. Is very like harsh light, which works
Yeah.
great for those super old lenses. But yeah, yeah, I think I took a roll, which is only 8 shots on that camera, and like 6 of them turned out.
Great.
So yeah,
I'm glad that I was one of the six.
you were one of the 6. But yeah, could you give us a little excuse me, I got a little something in my throat today. Could you give us a little background on you and where you're based and what all you do?
Yeah. My background, I've been photographing since 2015. I started with photographing CrossFit competitions and my local CrossFit box. And then one of my friends in my community was getting married and she asked me to photograph her wedding, and I laughed at her. I said, I capture people making poop faces, but I appreciate that you think I could do this.
Mm-hmm.
And she didn't take no for an answer. And it was game over. It was like the universe was just moving me into weddings.
Yeah.
And I just fell in love with it. I loved it was the ceremony. It was really special. And because you love the person that you're photographing, it was even more special to capture it and be the person who delivered her images on that day.
Mm-hmm.
So I am based in Houston, but I do travel. Uh, I've done weddings in Toronto. I've done weddings in the Dominican, California, Colorado. I love seeing new places. Travel does get a little bit stressful, but I
Yeah.
have plans and I like itineraries in my head on how to like execute it so my gear doesn't have to go under the belly of the plane.
Uh-huh. Oh yeah.
'Cause-
Yeah, I'm like with my backpacks and like carry-on items. I'm like,
yep.
okay, this camera body's
Yep.
here. I'm gonna wrap this
Mhm.
lens in a
Mhm.
t-shirt. And I'm like,
Mhm.
I just have
Mhm.
clothes and
Mhm.
gear throughout.
Yep.
I'm like, okay, anything that has to be checked, it's like tripods, it's maybe a
Yeah.
light stand or something,
Yep.
something that like I can
Yeah.
shoot a whole wedding on one body with a 35 that is staying
Mhm.
on my body the whole time that I'm
Yep.
traveling.
Oh, yep.
Everything else, you know,
Yep. Incidentals.
it's yeah,
Yeah, I even will upgrade my ticket for the flight to make sure that I can get access to the overhead bins before other people because it
yeah,
is strategic.
yes, that is smart. Yeah.
So yeah, I grew up. I'm actually Canadian, so I grew up in just outside of Toronto, in a cute little town called Burlington, and so I like to go back and forth and split my time between the two places. And I've been photographing weddings, I think, since 2016,
Okay,
I think.
that's awesome. With your split between like Texas and Toronto area, um, do you like market that more for like during the summer months going up to Canada because summer in
Yes.
Texas is, literally the face of the sun.
I actually actively avoid photographing weddings here in the summer or photographing anything that is outdoors.
Yeah.
I'm Canadian.
Yeah.
I can't. I'll
No.
die.
Yeah. Yeah. Any
But yeah,
anyone not watching the video of this, we are both very fair complexioned people. And yeah,
yeah.
man, these August weddings that are outside,
Mm,
I'm just like
mm-hmm,
3 minutes and my face is beat red
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
and my clothes
Also,
are drenched in sweat. And it's not a
drenched.
pleasant experience for anyone.
And I put on, and this is not a plug, but it's just because it helps me survive, this Lume deodorant into like all the crevices. So when they start to sweat, you can't smell it. So
Oh,
that's been a great thing that
smart.
I've integrated. But like, not only am I sweating because I exist in a larger body, I'm
Hmm.
also pretty fair. So I have to keep slathering on sunscreen so I don't just burn. And then I also just sweat faster than
Yeah.
other people. And it just starts at the back of my head and just drips down my whole back. You're
Yeah.
welcome.
Yeah. You're welcome, listeners. I know this is what you tuned in for.
Very
Uh,
welcome.
yeah, I am very warm natured, just always. Like this time of
Always.
year is my favorite.
Yes.
Although, like, as we're recording this, the high is like 85 today.
I know. But you know
It's
what?
so
There's a
sad.
breeze today.
There is a
I
breeze.
will
This
sit
morning was nice.
outside. I will edit. I'm like, homie, don't care. She's going to
Mm,
be outside
yeah.
editing in a sweater.
Yeah. Oh, I am looking forward to the rest of the week because tomorrow we're getting a cool front and it's
Mm-hmm.
dropping to like 40 degrees.
Oh,
After that, I'm like, oh, this is going to be great. Highs in the 70s. I'm here for it. Because, yeah, it
yes.
is just, I just am warm. My wife calls me a space heater. I'm just like
Mm-hmm.
always, just there's heat coming off
Mm-hmm.
my body at all times. And, and yeah, once the weather cools down, I'm like, this is
Oh,
amazing.
yeah.
Uh, so
Did you ever read the Twilight books or watch the movies?
I watched the movies. Yeah,
So you're more like a werewolf. We're both
I'm
lichens.
I
We
was
run
Team
hot.
Jacob for sure. Yeah.
Same. Until, he imprinted on a baby, I was all the way Team
Yeah.
Jacob.
There were a couple things that like, okay, Edward, I don't know if I can if I can support you anymore.
He's just
Jacob, I
watching
don't
Bella
know.
sleep? Sir,
That was super creepy.
dial that back.
Yeah, yeah. I know that you're like 1700 years old or something, but learn. You're not too old to
Calm
learn new
down.
tricks. Yeah.
Listen to
Um,
Carlisle.
yes. Yes. Oh man, I love it. Okay, Christine, I want to talk about the wedding industry and how the wedding industry has been failing and not like
Mm.
supporting and celebrating people who exist in larger bodies. And I love that this is our conversation today, that this is like something that you're teaching workshops on this, and just how we can celebrate people who maybe like for me, like I'm a bit larger, uh, I think with the like the BMI index, I'm technically like obese or something, but like I'm a straight white male, I'm fairly average build. I I see myself represented everywhere, like in all of these magazines and publications and people's Instagrams and all of that. Like it is very easy for me to see myself. And could you just talk a little bit about like how what you're seeing in the wedding industry and like maybe some places that we can do better?
Yeah, so this actually came from me seeing, I had a couple who had inquired with me, and I was outside their budget, and then they posted their engagement photos, and it just looked like the photographer hated them. He
Mm,
posed them, and when you exist in a larger body, you are very, very cognizant about, if you're a woman, your chest, your stomach, your arms, your butt, your chin. And he put them like this together and
uh-huh.
had them like forehead to forehead. So that naturally creates more of a chin.
Yep.
And their arms were flat. And it was just like, I was like, he really doesn't understand how to photograph people who exist in larger bodies. And then that led me down a rabbit hole to just type in the word wedding on Pinterest, on Instagram, and the only images that came up were of very, very thin people. And then I decided to go a little bit deeper and start looking at publications like the White Red, Style Me Pretty, even my local one, Brides of Houston. And you cannot find a plus size body in
Hmm.
anything. It's like we don't exist.
Yeah.
And I was just, but I look at those engagement photos and I think to myself, well, of course we don't exist because we don't have people who know how to photograph us.
Hmm.
So the only artwork of us going out into the world is framed in such a way that it's continuing the shame that we have towards people who exist in larger bodies and the shame that exists inside of us for existing inside that body because we all have it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like it kind of goes back to like our very early conversation about like documentary style of just not knowing how to position, pose, what angles and all that to photograph someone, and just throwing them up there. And like I talk to a lot of people, like as because I coach photographers as well, and a lot of photographers have like 5 set poses, and one of
Mm-hmm.
them is like the forehead to forehead kind of
Yeah.
thing, or like a piggyback ride, or
Mm-hmm.
stuff like that that may not always work that well for people in larger bodies,
Mm-mm.
because like, okay, well, and then like you get there and you're like, oh, okay, this one isn't going to really work, or this one doesn't look that great, or here, and then it's just like I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
I am I like I these are it's almost like a crutch of this is just what I normally do because this is the Pinteresty things. This is what I see on, Style Me Pretty and these other blogs and publications. And like, that's what I'm trying to replicate, but it doesn't work for everyone. And I think that's where like that, I don't know if we were recording when we were talking about the luxury market or not. We
Yeah.
talked about a lot. I wish we would have recorded. I should have just like recorded it
You
while
should
we
have
were
been like,
mid
we're just gonna
conversation.
start right now.
We're just going to go with it. But like we talked about the luxury market and how both of us kind of like tried our hand at that and tried our hand at being quote unquote luxury
Mhm.
and what people assume to be luxury. And really what's the most luxurious is when you like elevate your client's experience and you're not just giving them a cookie cutter of,
Mhm.
well, this worked for the last couple, so I'm just going to do the same thing with you, but really get to know them and like know their personalities, know their bodies. Like I even ask my couples, like, is there anything that you're insecure about
Oh yeah.
physically? Because I know I'm insecure about a few things that like, if I am not really wanting a profile
No,
side
I
view
I
of
tell my
anything.
people who film me for content, I'm like, never film me from the side.
Uh-huh.
It's from the front or from the back. I'm
Yeah,
like, do not.
yeah. I am not needing a, turn to the left kind of
And if
profile
I'm looking
shot.
at something and I'm going down, I said, do not. No, no, no,
Mm-mm.
no, no.
Nope. No, if
Erase.
you want me to look at something, I'm gonna hold it up. I'm gonna look like I'm 60 years old.
I
But
know.
yeah, I mean that's part of my beard. I'm like this hides any extra chins down
I do
here.
have a few whiskers from PCOS, but I did not grow a beard, so I can't hide anything.
Yeah, but like it's being mindful and not
Yeah.
just like that other photographer. You could see in the photos that they did not take the
Mm-mm.
time to like learn about this couple.
Mm-mm.
They did not take the
No,
time to position them in a way
no.
that would be like well suiting for them. And I think that is something that's really missing in holding people back uh,
And I'll
from
also
photographing.
say
Yeah,
that they shot them slightly underneath, which is also a terrible angle for anyone who exists in a larger body.
yeah.
And it was super close up, so it made their bodies look even bigger. Like there were just so many mistakes. And I just was like, it was the thing that pushed me over the edge because I'd been thinking about getting into education and teaching people how to photograph plus size bodies properly. And after I
Hmm.
saw that, and I'm like, I'm done. Okay, we're creating the course. Like, we're doing this. I can't not do this. Like, I'm aggravated at this point.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
such a disservice.
Yeah, I feel like that's like very similar to people like interracial couples where like someone's very light
Mm-hmm.
complexion and someone's very dark complexion. I get that a
Mm-hmm.
lot with couples who like come through a wedding expo or open house or something. They're like, so we are very different skin tones. Can you photograph us to
Mm-hmm.
where like one of us is not blown out and the other one's not a shadow?
Yep.
And that is something that like again, as straight white male, I don't always think about these things.
Yeah.
And when you see yourself represented well, it's
Mm-hmm.
not like something that I'm thinking like, am I represented in this publication? It's just
Yeah.
it seems normal, and you don't really think about other groups until maybe those questions come up, and then it's like, okay, I want to make sure that I like set this out in front so that
Mm-hmm.
people this little story time here actually. At one of these open houses I had recently photographed another photographer friend and her husband, and both of them are existing in larger bodies, and we went hiking, which was fun, and all of us were super exhausted,
Yeah.
but but
I
like
was like,
we
that doesn't sound
yeah, it was we went to Enchanted Rock, so it was
Ooh,
like we
okay.
we did the we did not do the steep hike. We went the slow, like on
Mm-hmm.
the backside of the mountain.
Mm-hmm.
But like we took like some really amazing photos up like at the top on sunset, and it was really cool. And I was like, these are very different than a lot of the other albums and photos that I usually have on my table. So I made an album for them, and I made an album for myself, and had that there. And the very next open house, there was a couple, both of them larger, and came through, and they started flipping through, and they're like, "We want to book you because we see ourselves represented.
Yes.
Like you actually have photos, so we can see, oh, you know how to photograph us.
Hmm.
We're not like, I don't know, this is thousands of dollars. I guess we're just like gonna roll the
Yeah.
dice and hope that you can photograph someone like us."
I just recently put up a TikTok video of this woman who wrote a post in like a bride group and about how she hired her photographer and she didn't see a single plus size person in any of their social media or on their website, and she hated her engagement photos.
Hmm.
I'm like, yeah, because no one's putting it out there that they capture these bodies. So for you to have had that album is so rare. So I feel like not only could they tell that you could pose them and make them look beautiful, but they could tell that you respect people who exist in larger bodies, because I think sometimes it does come down to shame and respect as a reason why we don't show off the bodies that are larger.
Hmm. Yeah, no, I totally agree. And like even with the wedding industry of like, these are not the photos that typically get submitted for publication. So I'm
Hmm.
not gonna like put as much effort into it.
Yeah.
Or I'm not going to be sharing these on my social media because
Yeah.
probably not going to get as many likes or shares, or
Yeah.
people aren't going to be saving this on Pinterest.
Yeah.
And like it's just like a toxic way of looking at things,
Yeah.
instead of like looking at the people and being
And
like, these are people
also,
that I can celebrate.
yeah, the couples are also paying attention
Yeah.
on social media if you're their photographer, if you're going to share them or not. I've also seen on TikTok videos uh, where someone will share that their photographer shared the couple before them and after them, but not their photos. And then in the comments, all you see are like hundreds of comments of other couples saying the exact same thing, that
Hmm.
because they existed in a larger body, they weren't shared, and it hurts their feelings, and it makes if the further perpetuates the fact that we are just erased from the wedding industry.
Yeah. Yeah. So what can people do, especially photographers? Like what are some steps we can do, and some things that we can, like, maybe even mindset shifts of
Yeah.
people listening who are just like, oh, I didn't even, like, this wasn't something that I had thought about. What are some steps that we can take to be better at this, and to kind of shift the way that the wedding industry sees people in larger bodies.
So I would audit your website and your social media, probably, especially your social media, like every 30 days or so, to see if you've put any diversity on your feed in general.
Mm,
So I'm going to say people exist in larger bodies. If you photograph same sex couples, anyone with different colored skin, that sort of thing, because as a white woman, I also sometimes just tend to fall into my own traps of not sharing that myself. So I will go in there and I will make sure that I have shared at least a little bit of diversity in my feed to
mhm.
show that I can capture all people. Um,
Yeah.
but on top of that, I do think it's a bit of a mind shift that needs to happen. Say if you get hired by a plus size couple, you need to ask yourself, how can I show off the beauty of their love story in a way that honors them as a couple and not just uh, wing it, because you can't wing that sort of session.
Mhm.
And it comes down to beforehand a lot of times communication. So you're going to need to talk to them about, where are you anxious about your body? Do you have any hangups? Is there certain angles or poses that you have from other photo sessions that you don't want to do, cuz and tell me why. What hasn't worked for you? What are you hoping to see? You also need to walk through with them what they're wearing. I find a
Mm,
lot of times men specifically try to hide their body shape if they exist in a larger body. So they'll wear like the largest shirt that you could ever possibly find and not tuck it in. And it looks like a huge moo. And then your photo looks, he looks just boxy and weird. And that's not something you can really share on
right.
social media. And I hate to say that, like, don't come for me, but like, it's just, it makes it look messy.
Yeah.
And
Well,
I,
it's like I've had guys show up for engagement shoots in like a t-shirt and a ball cap, and I'm like,
yeah,
cool. This is you, obviously. However, I am probably not going to be sharing these.
yeah,
Maybe some close-up details of like your hands or something, or if we
yeah,
can get the ball cap taken off later on.
yes.
But yeah, it might be comfortable for them because they feel like, okay, this is what I feel most comfortable in
Yeah,
because it is a large shirt that I don't have to
yeah.
worry about what I look like.
And I find that um, because of social media being more female driven, his
Hmm.
fiance has probably shared more of herself and is used to being captured more. So he's more anxious than she is. And so he needs to have some of the hand holding and the TLC to get him to a point where he'll show up in a nice fitted shirt, shirt tucked in, nice slacks, nice shoes, and feeling himself. But he needs to sort of go through it and go shopping and find a retailer that has stuff in his size so he doesn't feel or look like an afterthought.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's really good. Do you have like do you recommend like maybe putting together like guides or like
Mhm.
styling
Mhm.
plans and blogs and stuff like that to share, or are
Mhm.
you like
Oh
jumping on a
yeah.
Zoom call and like here's
I
some things that
usually
I would
send
recommend?
guides, and if they want to do a call, I can do a call. I also send them a list of retailers I know who go up to like certain sizes to help them find really nice stuff.
Cool.
Um, and there's rental places too that also, more for women, carry extended sizes. I've rented from them, so it's a good idea to do that as well because not everyone has all the money to buy a fresh new outfits for their engagement session
Right. Oh yeah.
or to buy like a
Yeah.
new suit for their wedding.
Yeah, because a lot of people are like, okay, we're splurging on the photographer. This is important to us, and we're
Hmm.
spending a lot of this other money. I can't justify going to spend, $100 to $300 on a new outfit
Yeah,
for a photo shoot
yeah,
when maybe they're work from home or something, and it's like, I'm not going to wear this again
yeah, yeah,
until like I'm attending a wedding or something. So yeah,
exactly.
I think that's really good, and super helpful. Like especially from like for me, I am usually in like shorts and a t-shirt. I have a bunch of graphic tees because
Hmm.
I'm still like a college kid at heart, and in getting ready for a photo shoot, I'm like, okay, I have to think about like I'm probably gonna wear something that I don't normally wear,
Yep.
um, or especially because like we usually do like fall photos for our family, and like I mentioned earlier, I'm very warm natured, so long
Oh,
sleeves I'm just like dying in. And in Texas, when it's like fall, it's still 70, 80
oh,
degrees,
yeah.
and I'm just like, okay, I can do this. I'm gonna wear like a long sleeve sweater or something for an hour. I can
Bless your
do
heart.
that. Yeah. And like it's stuff like those guides are helpful for people because like we think we're in the industry. We see
Hmm.
this all the time.
Hmm.
We're like, oh, everyone knows this. Everyone
Hmm.
knows, what's like good attire to wear for an engagement shoot or that kind of stuff. And people don't
Yeah,
because for most people, this is their first engagement photo shoot
yeah.
and maybe their first
Possibly
professional photo shoot ever.
exactly. I was
Yeah.
just about to say that. I get a lot of couples who are like, we've never been photographed professionally together. So you just
Hmm.
have to like walk them through the process of how to feel comfortable with each other, how to look great on the day, retailers that will do you every service, that sort of fun stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's great. Those are some really good steps on like how we can like move in a better direction in the
Hmm.
industry, and also just like be mindful
Yeah.
and having, like I forget who it was. It was someone on a podcast years ago. They were talking about how people of color like don't get shown a lot
Yeah.
uh, in people's like Instagram, in your portfolios and stuff like that. People of color,
Hmm.
people in larger bodies, people of like
Hmm.
queer couples and all that.
Hmm.
Like it is very easy for a white straight couple to hire me
Yeah.
because they see me and they're like,
Hmm.
okay, yeah, we're similar.
Yep.
And you've also photographed white straight couples before. We see that. So then it's like you kind of get into the cycle of like you're just like maybe every now and then you'll get a little bit of diversity in there, because you mentioned this
Hmm.
about like it's great to audit your social media and your website and see, did I share anything that wasn't like straight white couple
Yeah.
or like thin bodies, and it's like, okay, I need to audit. But I remember listening to this guy years and years ago, and I was like, my portfolio is like 99% me.
Hmm.
Is
Hmm.
I have very little diversity, so it's hard for me to like show that. Um, you know, I would recommend like whatever you do have, share that.
Show
It
it.
doesn't matter if it's the same photo shoot that you're just like showing in a
Yeah.
different way. Maybe you're showing one that's like a far out like landscape, but you can see like the diversity in your photos, because eventually you will start booking other people and growing that portfolio and maybe doing a styled shoot or two
Yep.
to
Yep.
get uh yeah, I love styled shoots for that reason
Exactly.
of
Because
of building that diversity. Yeah.
if you don't have that in your portfolio, then I was going to say, then you should be strategically looking for styled shoots to
Hmm.
help fill in the gaps of what you don't have. Because again, I'm a white woman. I attract a lot of white couples. So I still have to work hard on my end to get other couples in my feed by doing styled shoots and other things.
Hmm.
I have to.
Yeah. Yeah. It is like it's a mental thing. You have to be mindful of it and not just like, well, whenever they come through, I'll share
They're
it.
never going to come through.
Exactly.
They
Yeah,
won't.
very very rarely will someone just be like, well, you've never photographed anyone like me, but I'm going to
I
take a
have full
chance.
faith that you'll be great.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm going to spend thousands of dollars on you because I just think you'll be able to do it.
Hmm. So yeah, I think like if you're not if like finding a workshop or styled shoot that
Hmm.
is diverse in like body types and just everything, diversity in
Yep.
every different way, do one yourself. Like that
Yeah.
was what I
Yeah.
did years and
Exactly.
years ago. Like before this podcast, it was like in-person workshops, and that's it kind of morphed into a podcast, and I do workshops every now and then. But like the very first workshop that we did, we made sure that like we had two couples, and we were like, one couple, we want, it was just like we did a model call. We had a bunch of white people that were just like, yeah, sure. And we were like, okay,
Yeah.
cool. We'll do one couple, but we also want diversity.
Yep.
So like that was something early on that was something that we wanted, one for our portfolios, but also for the attendees, because maybe they haven't had anyone of color step in front of their lens. Maybe they haven't
Yeah.
had anyone in a plus size body step in front of their lens before.
Yeah.
And this allows them to, style shoots are great because like there's no pressure. There's no coordinator being like, hey,
Yeah.
introductions in 5 minutes. How much longer do you all need? And like, there's no like rushing through things and like being in your head about like, I don't know, we'll just go with this pose. But like, you
Yep.
have time to set up things and find the right angles and practice
Yep.
that way. uh, you have that experience to be able to photograph someone whenever they're like, okay, I saw this
Mm-hmm.
one photo in
Yep.
your portfolio and I have faith in you now.
And that's part of the reason why my workshop's also going to have a styled shoot with three different plus size couples, because I want you not just to learn how to pose plus size people, I want you to actually practically practice it the same day to see what poses you like as a photographer and try out other ones that maybe I haven't talked about,
Hmm.
and just like like play with it.
Yeah. No, I love that. And speak a little bit about your workshop for the listeners. I know, like as we're recording this, like you launched that today, right?
I did, yes.
Okay,
I mean, it's officially for sale. I haven't actually talked about it yet because it's only 10:30 now. So,
right.
and I hadn't showered when I had the time to talk about it, and I'm not going on social media looking insane.
Yeah.
But the workshop is happening January 22nd in Houston at a venue called Briscoe Manor. It's going to be about 1 to 6. So 2 hours of education, 2 hours styled shoot, and then like an hour of networking afterwards. So all of the vendors who are sponsoring are going to be there. Some will be tearing down, some will be mingling. Briscoe
Mhm.
Manor's offered to have like appetizers and drinks for us and everything. But the workshop itself is aimed at teaching you how to pose plus size couples, illustrating what poses work and don't work. I have a whole saved folder of like great photos and horrific photos, and in general, like communication with them. And you'll be getting email templates that I've created because you have to communicate with plus size people honestly differently because of how aware they are of themselves and their body in a way that straight size couples aren't, because we have been villainized our whole lives basically by society. So it's about having the sensitivity in your emails for all of that. And then the styled shoot is going to have like a, because Briscoe Manor has, we're going to be doing it a lot like at their barn area. It's
Mhm.
going to be like a really vogue chic country vibe to it. It's going to be really neat.
Nice.
And we're not sparing any expenses when it comes to rentals or flowers or anything. I've already talked to plus size gown designers. Like I'm trying to get like beautiful dresses that aren't, I did like a TikTok video the other day where I'm just like, all you see plus size women wearing is this style of dress, and sure, that's great, but we are not a one trick pony and we need to see variety for ourselves because we want to feel modern and chic as well. And so we're going to have a good variety of ball gowns and shorter dresses for like reception, and it's gonna force everyone to learn how to photograph plus size bodies in a really cool and unique way.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's gonna be so good, and I love that like you're like doing it up properly, and
Mm-hmm.
and not just like, well, we just have some people out here and we're gonna, practice
Mm-mm.
posing, and but like this is gonna be like portfolio lifting too,
Yep.
especially for a lot of
Yes.
people around this area where it's just like it's the same kind of like the same old vibes and all
Yeah.
that, and this is gonna be very very elegant and also
Yeah.
very diverse. So
Yes.
I'm excited for that. I'm excited for you and this workshop coming out in January, which I'll have links and everything in the show notes for everyone. Um, if you're in the area, or if you're like, ooh, I will fly down to Texas and go check this
Yes.
out because sounds amazing.
Come over.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, and it's gonna be it's got an early bird sale right now for $800 for two
nice.
weeks, and then it'll go up to $1,200
That's great.
December 1st. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Take
because
advantage
it's
of
like
that early bird.
it's gonna be 5 hours of like crazy town.
Yeah, yeah. This is not just like one of those show up at a
Mm-mm.
park and
Mm-mm. No,
20
no.
photographers swarming and taking photos at the same time.
No, we're
Yeah.
capping it at a maximum of 15 people with several different stations because I've been to style like conferences where you
Yeah.
have that one person who's somehow always in like a hat that's really wide,
Hmm.
always stepping into your frame and taking like 700 photos and doesn't know how to like control themselves.
Uh-huh.
So we're not doing that.
Oh yeah. No, the at hybrid there you were in one of the, so I'm on staff with hybrid, and I was being the monitor and timekeeper of a few style shoots, and you were in one of them, and there was
Mhm,
definitely one of
mhm,
those people that I
mhm.
kept having to be like, your time is up, your time is up, I am
Uh-huh.
going to like box you out with my basketball moves, your time
Yeah.
is up, please.
I actually
Yeah.
really I think that the hybrid gave me a great example as to what we will do to keep it timed and
Hmm.
people in line because I've also been to a few styled shoots across America stuff where the moderators don't care as much and that's where I've
Yeah.
almost I would never really do this, but I would mentally punch that person.
Hmm. Hmm.
Instead, because I'm an Enneagram 8, I would just say to them, "Hey, no one else has moved forward. Can you step back, please?"
Yeah. Yeah, we are all in a line here, so we're not in
Yeah.
each other's shots.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And other people would be afraid to say it. And I'm like, I'm not afraid to say almost anything.
No.
I
No.
will be, I'll be the group person who will step up and tell that one person getting in our frame to get out.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, I love being that person, like monitoring stuff. I'm like, I am not
Mm-hmm.
afraid to tell you that it is time to move on, or that you
Mm-hmm.
are in people's way. Like, we
Mm-hmm.
are getting our wide shot of the table right
Mm-hmm.
now.
Mm-hmm.
In 30 seconds, we're gonna move in and get closer. So hold your
Yeah.
horses.
Yeah.
Go
You need to
refill your
respect
film
that.
or something.
Yes, please. And like you have to respect that people want like certain angles, so we're not just going to be taking like two photos and then moving in. We've got
Yeah.
to like be like little people who like just surround it and then we can collectively agree to get a little bit closer.
Hmm.
But
Yeah.
no, I don't want to have I don't even want to I just want to have a max of 3 people per group because I feel
Yeah.
like that's a comfortable amount.
Ah,
Anything
so
more
good.
than that
Yeah.
and you just get people in the way and there's people who are not thoughtful.
Hmm.
And just I'm Canadian, so I want people to be thoughtful.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Well, awesome. I'm excited for that. It sounds amazing,
Hmm.
and in something like very important. Also, like,
Yes.
it's not just a portfolio building
Mm-mm.
workshop. Like, this is something that you're going to get a lot of like posing information, and
Yep.
a lot of like the templates and things you were talking about of
Hmm.
like speaking differently.
Yeah.
This is going to be really helpful. But yeah, okay, awesome, Christine. This has been so much fun. I have loved this. I can't believe we're like almost at an hour. This is crazy.
I know.
Um, but like, before we wrap up and let people know where they can follow you and check out more about the workshop and all of that. Um, there's part of the show that I like to do where we talk about what we're loving this week. And it can be
Hmm.
literally anything: book, TV show, movies, new food, whatever. What are you loving this week?
I just started watching season 2 of The Diplomat on Netflix, and I love have loved Carrie Russell since her Felicity days.
Oh,
So
yeah.
it's a really good watch. I that TV show is excellent, and I just wish it had come out a little bit sooner because I forgot the whole first season, so I had to rewatch it before.
Yeah. Yeah. I have not watched that yet. We got rid of Netflix a while back,
Hmm.
and now like recently brought it back.
Hmm.
So there's a lot of stuff, and I don't even have Netflix on my phone anymore. So I'm like, I've got to figure out, like, it's a whole new world of new shows.
Yeah.
Um, so I have not even heard of Diplomat.
Oh, it's so good.
So okay, all right,
Yeah,
I'm
it's
gonna I'll check it out.
about
I also love Carrie Russell, like
oh the
Felicity, and like
Americans.
Waitress, and
Yes,
like
Waitress.
those like 3 episodes of Boy Meets World back in the day. Uh, it was good. But yeah, I will check that out. I the thing I'm loving this week is also a season 2 of a new show on Apple TV Plus. It's Silo. It's
Oh.
it's a really interesting show. Season one was like 2 or 3 years ago, so I'm very excited that this came out. It just dropped like this week, so I'm not
Mm.
even through the first episode yet. And yeah, it's an interesting show about like I think it's like I don't know, like year 3500 or something. It's like post apocalyptic. Everyone lives in this silo that goes down like 100 stories underground. And like for generations, people have never been outside.
Oh,
And
whoa.
so, like, they have this window that they can see outside, and it's just like barren, just, dead trees and rocks and all that. But they, uh, like the atmosphere is poison and all of that, and it's like all about how life is like in the silos, but then also maybe the outside is not poison, and maybe there's things
Mm.
that are being hidden, and
Ooh.
the interworkings of the government and like stuff like that inside
Oh,
this one silo.
that's a lot of fun.
It's a lot of fun, very like thriller kind of sci-fi, very sci-fi. But yeah,
I love
it's a
sci-fi.
good show. The acting's really great too. Rashida Jones is in it,
Mm, I like
um,
her.
which I was like, oh, Rashida Jones, I will
Yeah.
definitely watch this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, but yeah, it's interesting. Season two just dropped. I can't say much about it. I've like halfway through an episode, but so far it's good. They did like a 7 minute recap of the first season at the beginning of this
Wow.
episode, and I was like, thank you.
Thank you.
I needed this. There was so much that I was like, oh yeah, that did happen. I forgot about that.
So,
Um,
if you love Silo, have you watched Fallout?
yes,
That is a cinematic masterpiece.
I loved it.
You want
I
to
loved
talk
it.
about framing and visuals
Hmm.
and storytelling?
I thought they did a really good job. I did not play the video game too
Me
much.
either.
Like
Mm-mm.
there, I think I had it for like the original Xbox, like way back in the day, and like graphics were not that great and everything, but like the
No.
storyline, uh, I thought they told the story really well. I really liked the cinematography in it.
Oh, and the
Oh,
costuming.
what's his
Oh,
name? Wilson something, or maybe his last name's Wilson. I don't know. The guy without a nose, the ghoul.
yeah, yeah, yes.
I forget the actor's name, but
I,
I just, I loved anytime that he came on the screen. I was just like, this
anytime.
is so great.
Yeah, yeah. He's just
Yeah.
such a good show.
Which I
Yep,
think season
such a
two
good
of
show.
that is coming out soon. I saw an ad
Ooh,
for it on Prime Video. So yeah,
that's
we just
exciting.
got shows on all the different platforms for y'all today. If you have not watched this, if you have Netflix, Prime, or Apple, we got something for you.
And if
Um,
you have Apple, you should also check out Shrinking because that show's awesome, and they just came out with the
yes.
second season.
Oh yeah, I haven't watched season two
Mm-hmm.
yet. Yeah,
So
Shrinking's
good.
great. Severance, also another one of
Yes.
those mind bender kind of.
Yeah.
Adam Scott is
Mm.
amazing. I
Adam
love him.
Scott. Loved him
Yeah.
since Parks and Rec.
Oh yeah, yeah. And no, that's good. Okay, cool. We got a bunch of show recommendations for y'all today. Also, Parks and Rec. If you haven't watched that, if you're one of like the three people out there, so good.
You're
Uh,
welcome.
yeah, yeah. Especially after like what is it, like season three? I think
Mm-hmm.
whenever like everyone kind of finds their characters, and it's
Yep.
just it takes off. But
Yep. Yep.
yeah,
Like
awesome.
when the.
Well, yeah, I could just talk TV
I
shows
know.
all day. I'm
All
like,
day. Well,
okay.
I used to work for Blockbuster, so I can talk movies
Oh,
and TV until like I lose my voice.
do you still have your card?
Yeah, of course.
Nice.
Yes.
Me too. Yeah, I have it
Yeah.
like in a little thing with like ticket stubs from
Mm-hmm.
going to
Mm-hmm.
concerts and stuff. I'm like, I am
Yep.
keeping this Blockbuster card. Plus, one of these
Absolutely.
days, I've been talking about doing a photography road trip from Texas up to Bend, Oregon, where the last remaining Blockbuster
Yeah.
video is,
Yes.
and just like hitting places
Yeah.
like Utah and New Mexico,
Mm.
Colorado on our way
Mm-hmm.
up.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
so I don't know,
I would do that.
the eyebrows that are showing me we might need to talk about this
Yeah.
after this.
That'd be
Just
so
like,
much fun. And then maybe we can get a couple to do an engagement session inside Blockbuster.
yes. Oh, that would be fun. Like a date night, and they're just like
Yes.
going and picking their
Like
movies
eating
and stuff.
popcorn as they tour the store and looking
Hmm.
at the back of the Blu-ray case and just being
Yes.
like, I don't know, what do you want to watch?
Yeah. I don't know. The I thought they had this movie, but it's just a wall of the cover, and
Yeah,
they're out of all
yeah.
the movies.
There's nothing behind it.
Nope. Nope. I remember that, man. Whenever Titanic came out, and it was just like a
Oh,
whole big wall of
yep.
just, no, sorry, we're out.
Same
But
with
yeah,
like with Lord of the Rings. That was a big thing when I worked there. We would
yeah,
pre-sell it, and I would have two buttons on my chest. I had one pre-order Lord of the Rings, vote for evil. Pre-order Lord of the Rings, vote for good, and it had like both wizards on it.
that's great.
I didn't know how to be normal, but
Yeah,
people thought it was hilarious.
yeah. That is it. That is life. Like,
Yeah,
you don't want to be normal. Like,
no.
that is something. Like, there were people that came in, they were just like, do you see that girl like with the buttons? That was
Oh
so
yeah.
great, and I
Oh
can't wait to
yeah.
watch,
And we
the.
would dress up on the nights that they came out. Like we would wear like full like Lord of the
Hmm.
Rings cloaks and stuff, fake swords. We were very intense.
Yeah. I always wanted to work there, and then I never did. I just, my little janitorial job was good enough for me. I was like, this is making me money, and the hours are fine. But yeah, okay, Christine, this has been a lot of fun, and so much great information too. I know that the listeners are definitely taking away a lot, and going to check out that workshop too. But tell the people where they can find you, where they can find you online, and say hey, and just follow along.
Yeah, my website is swishandclick.com. And then my Instagram is swishandclick.com because Swish and Click was taken by someone.
Yeah.
Rude.
Yeah,
Rude.
rude. Well, sweet. Yeah,
So,
I'll have
yeah.
that linked, and then I'll get a like direct link for the workshop information too,
Mm,
and have that in there for everyone. And yeah, if y'all are watching live, if you're watching the replay of this before. Do you say December 1st is when the
mm.
early bird is going? Okay, then yeah, take advantage of
Yeah.
that early bird special. I love early bird
Yes.
specials.
Me too.
It's like free money. It's like, I was
It
doing this
is.
anyway. I'll just go ahead and do it early, and then
It,
save money. It's amazing.
yeah, yeah. And I like giving people incentives, and I just want to help spread the word. So I feel like having it at a good price initially is going to help improve everyone. It's going to give a great experience for plus size couples, and it's going to help expand the knowledge of people who want to learn more.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, awesome. This has been great. Thank you so much for being on the show. I really enjoyed like getting to talk again. I know, like, I'm looking forward to the next time that we're in person, to just get
Yeah.
to chat.
Yay.
But thanks for being here.
My pleasure.
Awesome. And thanks everyone for watching. And I'll see you for the next podcast. Bye, y'all.
Perfect.
Okay, sweet. And you're, oh, there you go. You're fully uploaded. We're all